Ever feel like your brain's stuck on fast forward?
Yeah.
Even when, like, life's not exactly speeding along, you, my friend, are not alone.
Yeah.
Anxiety is practically, a universal language these days.
Right.
But what's so fascinating is this deep dive source you sent. It doesn't just tell us to, like, chill out, you know?
Yeah.
It breaks down the why behind the anxiety and gives us, like, real tools to work with, you know?
It's true. It's refreshing to see a source acknowledge the science without losing that relatable human touch.
Right.
Like, it starts with the American Psychological Association's definition of anxiety. It's not just in our heads.
Right.
It's our bodies getting in on the act, too.
Oh, yeah.
Which explains why it can feel so overwhelming.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's that, like, heart-pounding, can't-sit-still feeling that really throws me for a loop sometimes.
Yeah.
Speaking of feeling thrown, this source had a stat that stopped me in my tracks. Over 19%
Wow.
of U.S. adults experienced an anxiety disorder in the last year alone.
Yeah.
And that's from the National Institute of Mental Health.
Which really highlights how common this is. Almost 1 in 5 adults.
It's wild.
It's staggering and kind of makes you realize it's not some, like, personal failing.
Right. Not at all.
We're wired for this stuff. And get this.
Okay.
Our ancestors actually relied on anxiety to survive.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Anxiety helped them. Okay, how does that work?
Okay, so picture this. You're chilling in your cave. Suddenly, a saber-toothed tiger shows up.
Oh, no.
Right? That jolt of anxiety, that flood of adrenaline, that's your body's way of saying, like, move it or lose it.
Right.
That surge of energy helped them escape danger, and the hyper-awareness helped them avoid it in the first place.
Okay, so anxiety was basically our, like, prehistoric superpower.
Right.
But now, not so much.
Exactly. Our brains haven't quite caught up to the fact that most of us aren't dodging predators on a daily basis.
Right.
So now, instead of a tiger, it's a looming deadline, a traffic jam, or, let's be real, the pressure of curating the perfect Instagram feed.
Ugh.
No wonder we feel constantly on edge.
Okay, so our brains are hardwired for stress, and modern life's basically a buffet of, like, low-key stressors.
Right.
It's like a recipe for disaster, isn't it?
Yeah.
But this is where our deep dive source gets really interesting. It dives into some actual techniques for, like, calming the anxious beast.
Okay, yeah.
And here's the kicker. They're backed by, like, science, not just wishful thinking.
Absolutely. And they highlight 3 techniques that are incredibly effective and, importantly, accessible to just about anyone.
I love that.
First up, deep breathing.
Okay. I'll admit, I used to roll my eyes at that one. Like, come on, how's breathing going to stop my brain from spinning out?
Right.
But I've actually found it surprisingly helpful in those moments where I feel myself getting, like, carried away by anxiety.
Yeah, it seems too simple, right?
Yeah.
But think about it. When anxiety hits, your body goes into overdrive, right?
Right.
Your heart races, your breathing gets shallow and fast.
Totally.
Deep, intentional breathing is like hitting the brakes on that stress response. It tells your nervous system it's safe to chill out.
Okay, that makes total sense. So deep breathing for the win. What's next on our anxiety-busting menu?
Well, if deep breathing is about calming the body, our next technique is all about training the mindfulness.
Ah, mindfulness. It's one of those words that gets thrown around a lot these days. Everyone's talking about it. I'm not always sure everyone knows what it actually means.
You're not alone.
Okay.
At its core, mindfulness is about being present in this moment without judgment.
Okay.
Instead of getting caught up in worries about the past or anxieties about the future,
Right.
mindfulness helps us focus on what's happening right now.
So, like, if I'm stressing about a work deadline, mindfulness would be, what, focusing on the feeling of my fingers on the keyboard or noticing the sound of the birds outside my window.
Exactly. It's about tuning into those small details of your immediate experience. And the research behind it is pretty remarkable.
Wow.
This deep dive source actually cites a 2015 study from Clinical Psychology Review.
Okay.
And get this, for some people, mindfulness can be as effective as therapy for managing anxiety.
Whoa, seriously? That's huge. So basically we have this built-in superpower, but we've forgotten how to use it.
In a way, yes. And the beauty of mindfulness is that it's a skill,
Right.
which means it's something we can cultivate through practice.
I like that.
Speaking of practice, the third technique the source highlights is one we can all get on board with: exercise.
Now, this is something I can get excited about. I always feel so much better after a good workout, even if it's just a quick 20-minute jog.
And there's a good reason for that. When you exercise, your body releases endorphins, which not only boost your mood, but also act as natural anxiety relievers.
Nice.
Think of it as a free and legal happy pill.
Okay, I'm sold. Deep breathing, mindfulness, exercise. 3 simple yet powerful tools for combating anxiety. What else does this source have in store for us?
Well, it goes beyond just like individual techniques
Right.
and dives into something they call the ripple effect of anxiety.
Ripple effect. Okay, you're going to have to explain that one.
Yeah, so it's about how anxiety doesn't just stay in its lane, like
Right.
it impacts our bodies in ways we might not even realize.
Okay.
This source highlighted a 2018 study from the Lancet Psychiatry,
Okay.
which found a link between high anxiety levels and a greater risk of cardiovascular problems.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
So my anxiety isn't just like stressing me out mentally.
Mm-hmm.
It could actually be affecting my physical health too.
That's the gist of it, yeah.
Wow.
But here's the thing, this isn't about fear-mongering.
Right.
It's about empowerment.
Okay.
When we understand that connection, it gives us even more reason to prioritize those anxiety-reducing techniques we were just talking about.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
It's like this isn't just about feeling a little stressed.
Right.
It's about taking care of ourselves in a like holistic way.
Exactly. And this source doesn't just drop that bombshell and leave us hanging. It offers 2 more strategies I think are really valuable, and they're things most of us can start doing today.
And I'm all ears.
Mm-hmm.
What else can we add to our anxiety-busting toolkit?
Sometimes the simplest solutions are the most powerful, right?
Right.
The source talks about the importance of talking to someone you trust.
Okay.
A friend, family member, therapist, anyone who makes you feel safe and heard.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting those anxieties out of your head and into the open can make a world of difference.
I've definitely experienced that.
Yeah.
There's something so relieving about sharing what's going on in my head instead of just letting it like bounce around in there.
Absolutely. And then the other strategy they highlight is journaling.
Okay.
Which might seem kind of old school, but hear me out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, confession time.
Yeah.
I've tried journaling before, but I always get stuck on what to write.
Yeah.
It feels like I should be crafting some profound masterpiece every time I pick up a pen.
That's such a common misconception.
Right.
Journaling isn't about writing the next great American novel. Right.
It's about creating space for your thoughts and feelings.
Okay. Yeah.
Just letting them flow out onto the page can help you process them more clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And often you even stumble upon solutions or insights you wouldn't have otherwise.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So it's less about the actual words on the page and more about what the act of writing does for your brain.
Precisely.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like you're untangling those knots of anxiety and creating some breathing room in your mind.
I like the sound of that. I'm thinking I might dust off my old journal and give it another go.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got talking it out and journaling, 2 more tools in our arsenal. What else does this deep dive explore? So let's see if I've got this straight. We've got deep breathing to calm the body, mindfulness to focus the mind,
Right.
exercise for those feel-good endorphins,
Yeah.
and then talking it out and journaling to process those anxious thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
That's 5 solid strategies, all backed by science, and not a single one involves running away from a saber-toothed tiger. Exactly. And I think that's a really empowering takeaway from this deep dive. We have more control than we realize when it comes to managing anxiety.
Totally. It's not about, grinning and bearing it or pretending we're not feeling what we're feeling. We have tools to work with. But, there's one thing we haven't really touched on yet. This whole idea that anxiety was crucial for our ancestors' survival. What does it say about modern life that so many of us struggle with it now?
That's such an insightful question, and I don't think there's a simple answer, This source really makes you ponder. If anxiety was our brain's way of keeping us safe in a world of very real, very immediate threats,
Right.
does it mean that modern life, despite all its comforts and conveniences, is actually more stressful in some ways?
It's almost like our ancient brains haven't gotten the memo that we're not living in caves anymore.
Right.
We've traded tigers for traffic jams and deadlines. But our bodies are still reacting like it's a life or death situation.
And maybe that's the key to unlocking a new way of thinking about anxiety. Instead of trying to, eliminate it completely, maybe it's about learning to work with it.
Okay.
To like recognize those ancient mechanisms firing up and find ways to soothe them in a way that makes sense for our, modern lives.
I love that. It's not about denying our feelings. It's about learning to navigate them with a little more grace and understanding.
Exactly. And that's where those techniques come in: the deep breathing, the mindfulness, the connection with others. They're all ways of telling our nervous system, hey, it's okay, we're safe now, you can stand down.
It's like giving our brains a little reassurance, a little break from that like constant state of high alert.
Exactly. And the more we understand how our minds work, the better equipped we'll be to navigate the inevitable ups and downs of life with a little more ease and resilience.
That feels like the perfect note to end on.
Yeah.
To everyone out there listening, take a deep breath, be kind to yourself, and remember you've got this.
Absolutely. And keep exploring, keep learning. There's a whole world of knowledge out there waiting to help you unlock a calmer, more fulfilling life.
Couldn't agree more. Until next time, happy diving, everyone.